There was a point in my life for over a decade where I had learned to stop trusting myself pretty much completely. I learned not to want what I wanted, which sounds wild, I know. And that's because I was in a coercive system, a high control system that stripped me of myself, of my desires. And for you, maybe you haven't been in a high control system or a coercive relationship, abusive, toxic relationship, but here's how this relates to you. Maybe you don't make time to do the things that you love anymore. Maybe you've lost touch with what you even do love because your schedule is so packed and you spend all your time doing stuff for other people because honestly, there's only so many hours in a day. Because of that very practical reason, time, capacity, money, maybe you're telling yourself no to the things that you want to do, or maybe you don't even know what you want to do anymore because life has lifed so hard that you've lost your capacity to dream. So if those things sound familiar, if you feel like life has been so intense for you recently that you don't even know how to dream anymore, dreaming is just about wants, right? Dreaming is admitting that we want something. Sometimes life takes away our capacity to dream. Tell me in the comments if you feel like you've lost your capacity to dream, if you feel like you're too busy to dream, or if you do feel like you know what you want, but you tell yourself no all the time because of money or time or stage of life. Welcome to 44 days and 44 ways that I built a life that doesn't break me. My name is Andy. I live in Portugal with my family, and we left America in 2019. So, about my story of not wanting what I wanted. This had been happening for many, many years. I could tell you many stories of how I denied myself. I ignored what I really wanted, and I did what my church told me I should want to do. Just a couple examples of that would be I really wanted to take a study abroad semester. I was a cross cultural studies major, and my language was Spanish, and there was a Central America study tour that I really wanted to go on, and I let my church talk me out of it. I'm not going to go into that story today because there's a much worse one, and that is how I let my high control environment talk me out of finishing my free master's degree because I was a wife now and I needed to focus on ministry and being a new wife. So I had this paid for master's degree that would have given me open doors to a different level of career and opened just doors for me. And it was free. And I quit it after I got married at the age of 22 because the environment that I was in told me that's not what you're supposed to want. You're not supposed to want a career. You're supposed to want children. You're supposed to want to be a good little homemaker. I call the good little homemaker Becky Homeki, and I am not her. I'm actually really terrible. I applaud and esteem women who are good homemakers, who, like, I think those skills rock. I'm so impressed with people who are good at homemaking skills. So please don't hear this as a dig from me, but like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I didn't want homemaking. I don't like cooking. I am proficient at cooking. There's a lot of things I'm proficient at because I'm a mom, right? I'm a mom of 5. But I think being in that environment, I was told all the things I was supposed to want and who I was supposed to be simply because I was a woman. There was no regard for who I actually was, what I actually cared about, or my dreams. My dreams were really stripped from me in that environment. Coercive environments do strip you of yourself. They make you doubt yourself. They make you question your intuition. They tell you that your whole life is about the mission, whatever they want you to be doing. So, serving, ministry, lots of free labor. There's nothing inherently wrong with service, but when it's forced upon you, it's coercion. So during those years in high control religion, and I'm talking about the white evangelical church, just to be clear, the American white evangelical church. There are a lot of churches that have high control red flags. And my faith is still really precious to me. My Christian faith is. I'm sure that if you're watching this, you are probably aware of the prevalence of Christian nationalism, and that's like not the true Christian faith. And a lot of these churches that are more coercive lean very heavily toward Christian nationalism. So there's a lot of wrong, coercive, really non-Christian things going on in these types of environments. And that's the kind of environment that I found myself in a couple of different churches over the course of about 12 years, from the time that I was 18 to the time I was about 31 or so. And then finally we exited to a healthy church again, and I began to get myself back. I began to reclaim and trust myself again, to like listen to my own desires, reignite my dreams. And one of those dreams was the 20-year dream to move abroad. And that's why I'm sitting here in Portugal today. So that environment taught me to disconnect from myself. And I would say that America teaches some of the same things to women, to disconnect from ourselves, to be the superhero as a mom. I mean, America is always like piling responsibilities on women to the point that we don't have time as American women to even know ourselves really, because we're so busy doing all the things, being called a superhero, and then like not having the support. So that can really cause a disconnection of you from yourself, similar to how that high control church environment did for me. So many other countries support women and support mothers better than America. I think of maternity leave, the atrocious maternal wellness rates for Black women in America, affordable childcare, job protections for women. I mean, America is not good to women in general. And after being in a high control environment and also really struggling under the weight of America, moving abroad has been very healing for me. I began to regain my sense of self before we left. Right around the time that I exited the second high control church that was really restrictive for how it told women they had to be. Like, It also didn't encourage women to have careers. The assumption was if you were a mother, you were staying home. But the main issue is not that there's some right way to be a woman and that you shouldn't stay home with your kids. I think it's a beautiful thing if that's your desire. But really, it comes down to, is this your desire? Do you even know your desires, or are you following a prescriptive plan? And I was following a prescriptive plan because those environments for me laid it all out and said, if you are a Christian and if you are a woman, this is the way you do that. It's very hard in an environment like that to do something different because you have been disconnected from yourself and you're not in touch with your intuition. You're not in touch with your desires. You've been told you need to give up your desires. You need to sacrifice. And again, like these ideas, they don't have to be negative ideas. I think there's beauty to self-sacrifice in a similar way to beauty of serving. But when you aren't given any other template for choosing differently, like it was not acceptable. You were really weird if you had a career and you had children in these environments. Like literally, I knew hundreds of women and I can think of one who had a career. And so that's interesting, you know, that demonstrates how much groupthink influenced those environments. The bigger problem really was that we had all been taught not to trust ourselves. We'd all been taught to give up our dreams for our husbands' desires and dreams, or give up our dreams for the greater good of the church. And by that, I just mean, again, lots of free service. So like all of these ideas, like they can be beautiful things, but when you are doing them because you will be ostracized, when we couldn't serve anymore in that environment, we weren't really taken care of anymore because we couldn't serve anymore when we had 4 kids, 5.5 and younger. So if you, for whatever reason, have stopped asking what you want in life, if you've lost touch with what makes you glad to be alive, that's a big theme in my life, is believing that being glad to be alive is part of our responsibility in being alive. That's highly influenced by losing my best friend to cancer. And she liked to be alive. She told me she liked to be alive. She had learned how to enjoy being alive, even in the hardest of circumstances. I believe it is our responsibility, it is yours and mine, to learn how to like being alive if we have the privilege to be alive. And part of that is dreaming and having things that we love to do and not saying no to ourselves about every single thing that we want to do. So making the choice first to travel more and then to move abroad was a big part of me reclaiming my own dreams and desires and learning how to trust myself and trust my own dreams and desires has been a big way that living abroad has healed me personally. And once you begin to trust yourself again, you trust yourself more and more, and your life becomes much more enjoyable to live. And that's an act of self-love, and it's a gift to the people who you love. Because if you are your most alive self, everybody benefits. The world benefits when you are trusting yourself, when you're doing what lights you up, and when you're living in the world in a way that is enjoyable and joyful. I'm curious to hear from you, and I'm cheering you on in your own healing. And I'm really trying to build a community here of women and non binary friends who care about feeling alive and want to be living in a way that you're glad to be living. I'm Andy, here in Portugal, reminding you to dare to truly live today. See you tomorrow.